Hi, love leaders. It's Dr. Shannon Roberts, your host for the Love Leading Podcast, where we discuss how to create connection in your most important relationship that God designed, bringing health and sometimes healing while deepening intimacy. Welcome to the show. Welcome, love leaders, to the Love Leading Podcast with Dr. Shannon. That's me, your host for this podcast session today. And we are back finally discussing the last two elements of my Intimacy for Life method that I share through the whole process of my Naked and Exposed book. And that's what we've been doing in this series, is walking you through each one of those steps that I have researched, and in the 30 years experience, taking my couples through my program, helping them find that longevity of relationship satisfaction through the life of their relationship. And so today we are going to further our discussion in those rhythms that couples do, keeping their relationship healthy and thriving throughout the course of their lifetime. If you've missed the other episodes, you want to go all the way back. We've already discussed the other two components in the Intimacy for Life method, those things that couples do to counterbalance any kind of stressors of life, pain points. Relationship tend to renew or offset those other kind of more hits to the relationship. We've already discussed deepening that emotional engagement. We have already discussed keeping our recreational partnership healthy and thriving and warm and fun. And today we're going to be talking about spiritual intimacy. I work a lot with faith-based couples, having done my research in this area of couples, especially adding the element to my view and understanding of the attachment relationship that we have with our higher power, God of our choice, as something greater than ourselves, outside of ourselves. We also look at the dynamic of how we enter into a connection point within our relationship with that part of us, because we are made holistically, mind, body, spirit, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And so to not address this within the context of a deep, intimate, romantic partnering would be neglectful. So we do that in my program. The couples that come to me really, to the level of their comfort level, desire for this component to be entered in. And so we incorporate it, especially in those areas as relationship building and deepening, a connection point of intimacy. And so if you need to pick up a copy of my book, one of the bonus things that I offer is the unique qualities that couples of faith have that are differing outside of a typical secular couple. And this is one of the major components. So if you want that research and to understand uniquely, either as a therapist or a pastor, or even you as a researched couple that are looking for a therapist that is really sensitive to the needs of these unique qualities of Christian or faith-based couples, and how they carry themselves differently, how they view marriage as a covenant, how that impacts the way they show up in their marriage differently and uniquely, is something that I offer as a bonus in my book. So that being said, spiritual intimacy is obviously, to a different degree with each couple, something uniquely different. And what it means is they find their approach of how they show up, interacting in the relationship, carrying with them the spiritual component of themselves. And so some couples want to find ways and approaches that they can vulnerably share the aspects of their spiritual walk and journey with their relationship with God. into their marriage. They might learn approaches to be willing to expose different aspects of that walk and journey with one another. Doing so takes a lot of vulnerability and a lot of risk taking to be able to share that component of themselves. Maybe not having ever done that before, breaking old molds and traditions of feeling like that's a uniquely very personal thing. We find ways and approaches that are most uniquely comfortable for each couple. Sometimes that means that they are just sharing from what they are doing or experiencing individually, while others might even incorporate some kind of spiritual disciplines that they enjoy doing together, whether they find an institution of faith in which they attend together. A lot of couples talk about having that shared experience beside one another, allowing them to have components of discussion points later on regarding whether it's the worship or the teaching or the service. Other couples talk about how they enjoy incorporating prayer into their relationship and how to do that is awkwardly difficult if never done before. And so helping those guardrails on how to do that, breaking some old traditional molds that, that's maybe only the responsibility of maybe, let's say, the husband being the head or the spiritual leader, which is a lot of pressure. And a lot of men talk to me about how that pressure feels hard because a lot of times they don't feel worthy or adequate enough in that realm. A lot of times the wife says that she feels like she has the spiritual pulse of the relationship, but yet doesn't feel the freedom to be the one to lead and guide it. And so we talk through a lot of those kinds of hindrances that keep couples back from opening up in this category, especially. Other couples talk about how they enjoy experiencing worship together, that it's not necessarily about the educational teaching of the scripture, but the experiencing of the musical element of the worship experience together that brings a reset in their relationship. While other couples talk about that they enjoy putting themselves into a small community of like-minded believers where they do topical conversations or Bible studies together. Other couples talk to me that they really enjoy the aspect of finding a category of service that both serve in together, or maybe even serve separately, but at the same time, and then get to exchange their experience and their passions with one another as they are both contributing into something greater than themselves. There's so many other kinds of different ways that couples incorporate this. And so being open and sensitive to what the couples can explore and dream and adventure into is really exciting to watch once they get to this level of the components of the program. And then sometimes it's really not about just the interdynamic within the couple. Some couples really incorporate the spiritual intimacy into bringing meaning and purpose, being able to together do something greater. So they find ways and approaches of giving back in the community, maybe a philanthropy or a charity that they find that they equally enjoy as to a calling or a purpose and a passion, a population of people, or some kind of, population of need in the community. And so finding and researching, attending and interviewing, and then maybe it's just a contribution of not just time, but maybe it's resources and being able to think through, pray through, talk through, and then enjoy seeing the results of is a part of their intimate connection in the way and the approach that they give back. And it becomes kind of their brand. It's not just what they do, but it's who they are. This is what they stand for. This is the value and the passion in their heartbeat that they want to be known for, the imprint that they want to leave together as a couple that they were able to accomplish together. And so watching that process and how that begins to pull at the heartstrings in a more spiritually intimate kind of way is a deeper knowing and understanding and a sharing that goes a layer deeper than just the emotional engagement and that physical intimacy that, by the way, we're going to be talking about next week. So if you are just entering into this conversation, or even the awareness that we could add this layer or element, you want to go dive deeper into components of who you are spiritually and your value set, your belief set, you might want to pick up a copy of my book, but you also might really enjoy just beginning the conversation of, where do we want the meaning and purpose to be in our relationship and our marriage? If we really believe, if we look through the lens that there was something greater than ourselves, purpose for us to be called to be together, then there's a greater plan for us to do. A lot of times couples feel like the initial calling and purpose is obviously as we pour in to the next generation with the family, our children, contributing to community as we raise very self-sufficient, value-laden, and faith-driven individuals. And so that becomes their first layer of meaning and purpose. But a lot of couples begin exploring as they later have a lot of more discretionary time and a lot of more discretionary funding on what else is there. What is that next chapter once that chapter is finished and completed? And those couples that find that thing that they really have a deep passion for, a deep calling towards, and they find it rewarding together, those are the couples that really talk about a deeper level of relationship satisfaction and connection as they enter into that kind of chapter. So I want to encourage you couples, the ones that have walked all the way through every one of these episodes and you've step by step begun the process of renewing your relationship with some of the more intimacy building components. This is your next step. Begin talking about this process of how you might want to connect in a spiritual kind of way. Taking baby steps for some, but giant leaps for others. Now's the time to go and explore and talk through. You're not going to want to miss next episode. This is it, guys. You've been waiting for it. We are going to have 2 different episodes on physical intimacy and then eventual sexual intimacy. We saved the best for last for a reason. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't forget. We'll see you next time.